Hi, I'm Christos and I'm here today to talk to you about Glenn's Property Millionaire Academy Rent to Rent course. So in the Rent to Rent course that we do, we have a 1 hour video which we're going to talk about right now, which is £97, and we also have a face-to-face course, which is something that you can attend on the next one. Just ask the office for more details. But let me give you some ideas of what you are buying for your £97 in your 1 hour video. What are you going to get in that video? Well, first of all, it's all me, so you're going to get me for a whole hour in my very nice green jacket. Thank you very much. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of the headline titles of what we cover in the video so you can understand there's a lot of content in there. So first thing that I will be talking about on the video will be the type of money that you can make in rent to rent. And I'll explain a little bit more about what rent to rent is. And I really want to cover that very briefly now because I want to give you a bit of an indication so you understand. If you're brand new to this and you don't understand what it is, you need to obviously get at least a basic grasp. So rent to rent is typically where we take a house and let's say, for example, it's a 4-bedroom house with 2 reception rooms and maybe a nice kitchen diner area, and we want to make that into, let's say, a 6-bedroom HMO where we're going to have 6 individuals renting 6 different rooms and sharing a communal space of the kitchen diner. So that's what we call rent to rent. We're going to rent that property from the owner. We're not going to buy it from him, we're going to rent it. We're going to agree a set fee with him of what we're going to pay each month, and then we are going to rent that for maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and he's going to be very happy because he's got no voids, so he doesn't have to deal with multiple tenants moving in and out. We're going to handle all that aspect. So then we will rent out that property, the individual rooms, and we'll include the utilities and council tax typically within the price of the room rent. And then the difference between the rent we pay to the landlord and the bills and the rent that we're collecting from all the individual people, the difference between those is our profit. So what is the profit? Well, if I have taught you well in the course, then you will walk away with at least £700 a month every month from a good property, but that could be £800, £900, £1,000 plus, depending on the size of the property and how profitable it is and what area it's in. But I will not want you really to look at something that doesn't make at least, or have the potential to make at least £700 a month. Why? Because otherwise, you just need to have maybe one room void and suddenly you're making very little money. So 700 is my sort of threshold that I will give you as a guideline. Okay, so why is it me that's teaching you this? Well, you might wonder, what's my experience? Well, I am a property sourcer. That's my main background, and I have helped in the last 12 months. Some of my clients have 12 HMO rent-to-rent properties into their portfolios, including one which was a 9-bed HMO, and that was done right in the middle of lockdown, just to prove that things still can be done even with more difficult times in COVID. Okay, so some people ask me the question all the time: how quickly can I get started? How much money can I make? Well, a lot of people have a certain target that they want to hit. Maybe it's £2,000, £3,000, £5,000, £10,000. Whatever your target is and whatever your goal is, that's going to be individual to you. However, what I will say is most people do get into rent to rent as a very low cost entry point. So it doesn't cost a huge amount of money to get started, unlike if you're buying property where you have to get big deposits, paying things like stamp duty, legal fees, lots of other costs involved. But with rent to rent, your costs are relatively low compared to the normal purchasing route. So if you were targeting, let's say, £3,000 to £5,000, there's no reason why you couldn't do that with a handful of properties that you could acquire over the next 3 to 6 months. We have had people go out and get a property within their first 2 to 4 weeks and be up and running, making £700, £1,000 net profit in a very short space of time. So just remember, if you're having, just one property making £1,000, how many of those do you need to get to your personal target level to make the income you want? Now, if you want to go up to 10,000 plus, that's maybe going to take you closer to around a year. And everybody learns at different rates. So maybe you're going to take, 8 months to get there. Maybe you'll take 14 months to get there. Maybe you'll take 12 months to get there. But again, if you've got a target and you've got something in mind set to go for, then you just don't let anything stop you and you go for it. Okay, so challenges I'm going to cover in the video as well. you might think, well, I don't know anything about rent to rent, how do I do it? I don't know anything about HMOs, what are all the rules and regulations around it. We're going to teach you all that in the course, and we're going to teach you, even on the 1 hour, we're going to give you a very good overview of everything that you need to know to get out there and get started. So don't let the lack of knowledge deter you. You know, we're going to give you that knowledge and get you started. You might be thinking, well, actually, you said I don't need very much capital to get started, but I don't have any capital. Maybe you've got £0. If that's the case, then you're going to have to start thinking a little bit more creatively, because like most businesses, there is some cost involved to get started. And your property that you go and rent from a landlord, let's say the rent was £1,000, you're going to need to give them £1,000 in advance for the rent, normally. You will quite often be asked for a deposit, maybe that's a month as well, so maybe that's another £1,000. So already there's a couple of £1,000 there that you would potentially need to find, or more. And maybe you need to think about out of the box. What can I do? Have I got some rubbish floating around the house that I don't need anymore, I'm not using? Maybe I can sell it off on eBay. Maybe I've got a friend or a family who maybe wants to lend me the money and I give them a bit of interest back. Or maybe there's someone who might joint venture with me and help me out and do this business with me. They put the money in, I go and do the legwork, and we split the profits. You know, there's lots of options, lots of things you can do, but you know, these are just small challenges you can find a solution to, and we'll help you with those ideas and what we can do to help you on that. Okay, so locations. This is another challenge that you may come across. It's like, well, where am I going to find these deals? How am I going to find them? What are the right types of deals? All these different things are probably going through your head. We're going to cover all this on the video. So we're going to talk about how to check on the demand for the area, making sure we've got the right type of properties, how to negotiate the deals with either the agent or the owner, because obviously we want to take those properties on board and use them, you know, for our own use for the next 3 to 5 years. We'll talk about how to put systems in place so that you can keep track of all these properties you've been to view and made offers on. Not every offer you make is going to get accepted. You know, if you have someone who's renting a property for £1,000 and you offer 900, maybe they say a flat no, or maybe they say, well, actually, I'll accept 950. So if the numbers are going to work for you, we'll show you how to calculate those numbers and see if it's a profitable deal for you even at 950. Finding the right types of properties is very important, because there's a lot of compliance around HMOs, and we're going to cover all the basic top line stuff for you, but this is all public information, okay? So every council has slightly different rules. You can go onto their website and you can read about what those rules are. Find out about Article 4, we're going to tell you all about that. You're going to find out about fire doors and what are the right types of fire doors and how many I need and where they've got to be. We're going to talk about smoke alarms, emergency lighting, thumb turn locks, all these HMO things that maybe you don't know anything about. We're going to cover that and talk all about that and give you that information. But each council will have their own little rules and regulations about what you must have. How many toilets and showers you must have for the right number of people. What size the rooms must be as a minimum size to have an adult sleeping in that room. So again, lots of these little rules, we'll talk about them all, and they're also going to be on your individual council websites, so you can check them out. Okay, so this is a business, even if you're going to do this as a part-time thing, maybe just to replace your income. A lot of people use this strategy as one of their first strategies into property. It's a great way to learn about property, it's a great way to get started, it's low cost, quick returns, and you can very quickly learn a lot about property in a short space of time and make some cash flow to replace maybe your current job or business that you have. So it's a business, you need to have certain business things in place. One of those is you need to register with data protection, so that's the ICO. Why? Because you will be collecting information, private information from owners, agents, tenants, various other people, and nowadays you have to be registered with the ICO for data protection, and it costs you a whopping £40 a year. So get your wallets out and you need to go and pay for that one. You're also going to need to have some basic insurance for your business as public liability and for the properties that you take on. If you're going to put, for example, your own furniture in there, you need some landlord's contents insurance. So just little bits and pieces like that to set up your business. Again, we'll talk about that more on the video in detail. Compliance. So you also have compliance, and you're going to need to do HMO basic understanding compliance for your thumb turn locks and your smoke alarms and your fire doors and your emergency lighting. So all those things need to be in place so that you know what you're doing and can make sure that you've got everything in the right place before you go to apply for your licence. When you apply for your licence for the HMO, then you will get an inspection after a few months, and once that inspection is done and they're satisfied, they'll then issue your HMO licence for that property. The good news is you don't have to wait all those months until you start letting out the property as a HMO. As soon as you've done your conversion and your application, you can put people in the property and start renting that out straight away. Now, you might want to project manage some of these conversions yourself, and if you do, that's great. However, if you haven't got any experience, I would let some other professional deal with it or educate yourself on that. And you're probably most of the time going to want to furnish those properties to the standard of the tenant that you're putting in there. So if you're dealing with students, maybe second-hand furniture will be okay. If you're doing sort of low-level lets. Maybe if you're working professionals that you want to go a bit more at market, maybe you want to buy some newer furniture from IKEA, or maybe from a professional furniture store that deals with HMOs and they can deliver everything for you. I would suggest whatever tenant type you're going for, still get professional photos done, because when you market and dress those properties professionally, you'll get a lot more response on your adverts, you'll get a lot more rooms rented out a lot more quickly. So do it all professionally, get professional photos with good lighting, stage all the rooms so they look lovely, and you'll get a lot better quality tenants paying better premiums on the rent. Okay, and finally, I mentioned at the beginning, we do a one-day face-to-face rent-to-rent course, which you can come along when we start doing those again. In the meantime, I want you to go and buy the £97 DVD or video download. It's not a DVD anymore, I'm living in the dark ages. Welcome to 2020. So, get the 1 hour video. You'll have me going into a lot more depth on what I've just covered as a very headline basis there. And if you like that video, then talk to the team about actually coming along to a one-day class if you want more education. But after that 1 hour video, you'll have the basic information to be able to go our way, start that business and get things up and running and start making an income very quickly. So go and do that now, guys, and it's a pleasure to speak to you again soon. Take care.